Mr. Kerkorian, you're an advisory board member for Project 2025, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Kerkorian, in addition to being a Project 2025 board member, you also run the Center for Immigration Studies. You've done that for decades, where you spread and disseminated writings of people like Kevin McDonald, John Friend, and Jared Taylor, correct?
We used to have an email service that distributed links to
those
op-ed.
to their writings. That's right.
And the New York Times and all kinds of other.
Correct. And you, so yes, I know that you're aware that you spread the writings of these three along with others, but these three are egregious examples. McDonald is the editor of a white nationalist journal. Your organization, as you said, disseminated his writings. He blamed Jewish people for the deaths of millions of people in the 20th century. John Friend, who you just said you disseminated his writings, is an infamous Holocaust denier. You spread his writings. Jared Taylor stated, quote, and I quote, this horrible quote, that when black people are left on their own, civilization disappears, end quote. That's what he said. You, a Project 2025,
we distributed only.
You only distributed. Correct. I understand. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. Correct. You only disseminated writings from multiple white nationalists. Reclaiming my time. I'm going to ask you a question, sir. I'm going to ask you the next question.
Wrote about immigration.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. I'd like that time back. So you, a Project 2025 board member, you're stating you did not disseminate, for example, Mr. Taylor, Mr. McDonald, or Mr. Friend's specific quotes here, but you continuously disseminated these white nationalists' writing. One time is a problem. When you do it over and over and over again, it's a pattern. But I'll stop asking about the things that you and your organization disseminated. I'll ask you, Mr. Kerkorian, and I know you're a Project 2025 board member, your recent quote from a few years ago where you said, quote, Haiti is so screwed up because it wasn't colonized long enough, end quote. Is that correct? Did you say that?
I'm happy to talk about that all you want.
You did say it, that's right?
I wrote it, yes.
You said that. Haiti was colonized as a slave plantation colony. The French colonized Haiti so that slaves would work on plantations. The end of colonization in Haiti was so that the people there would no longer be slaves. So what you're saying, and I read your quote, and anybody watching this online should go read it. What you're saying is it would have been good if they'd stayed colonized, which means that it would have been good if they had stayed enslaved by the French.
In the long run, it's one of the
in the long run,
history. No,
people shouldn't have been enslaved a single day. I'm reclaiming my time, Chairman.
And they had every right. They had every right to throw the.
What
French
you said
out.
is that you would have wanted them. Reclaiming my time. I'm talking now.
They would have been freed 30 years later,
you said,
and they would have been in the same situation.
You're saying you wanted 30 more years of slavery in Haiti. Reclaiming my time.
I did not.
You just said it. Honestly, it adds up.
It's telling just how angry Mark Kerkorian gets when Texas Representative Greg Casar exposes the connections between Project 2025 and white supremacist hate groups.
Ranking Member Raskin, you reiterated and have created a boogeyman that just isn't there. I did author the EPA chapter on Project 2025, but in the course of that, I did not work with President Trump, with any of the people who work for him directly or his campaign. And it is very misleading to suggest that there's any coordination there because I can personally tell you it did not happen. And I am not vying for a position in the next administration. I've actually left DC and I've moved to a small town in Mississippi where I interact every day with people who live outside this bubble of gaslighting and misleading. And they actually are dealing with the consequences caused by policy decisions of this administration. And I understand why there is the creation of this boogeyman, because your leading candidate is one running away from policy actions she has taken that make Americans' lives much more difficult.
And I just want to get this straight. Nobody here has disavowed their own connection to Project 2025 in the big report that I'm calling the MAGA Manifesto, but the big book. Donald Trump is trying to backpedal right now. What he said when he was at the Heritage Foundation is our country's going to hell. The critical job of institutions such as Heritage, and admittedly he called Heritage Heritages, but we know he meant Heritage, to lay the groundwork. And Heritage does such an incredible job at that, he said. They're going to lay the groundwork and detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America. Are you not proud of your association with Donald Trump and the fact that he seems to be embracing Project 2025?
It was an honor of my life to serve President Trump at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. And the work that I've put into Project 2025 is a result of that experience and lessons learned that I think would be extremely beneficial to trying to advance the cause of the conservative movement, to reduce the government, ensure that the voice of the people.
Just to interrupt for a
is held
second.
in that.
So your contribution to the Project 2025 report is something you're proud of, right?
Yes, yes.
And you're proud of the association with Donald Trump.
Again, I disagree with the way that you're asking that question.
Well,
I understand
okay.
what you're trying to do here. You're trying to create
I'm just trying to get to the
a
facts,
connection.
that's all, because everybody seems to be backpedaling from what seems completely obvious. Donald Trump praised Project 2025. He said that this lays the groundwork and details the plans for what our movement will do. And now all of a sudden, everybody wants to run away from that.
We would be ignoring a critical component of Project 2025 if we did not address the fact that its creators have been secretly peddling a, quote, 100-day playbook, unquote, that contains executive orders and emergency actions to roll out in the first hours of a second Trump presidency. Instead of sharing this plan with the public, an indictment of your dangerous policy plans in and of itself, those behind Project 2025 claim it is too controversial to release. Ms. Guna Sakara, yes or no? As a main author of Project 2025, are you aware of this playbook or quote-unquote fourth pillar? And remember, you are under oath.
Yeah, and it's online on the website.
Can you please detail what exactly it calls for?
I think you explained it pretty well. It is a plan of action so that when Republicans and conservatives have another chance at a next administration, there's not lost time, and so that there is a plan ready to go.
I don't know if that was specific enough. You are under oath. Can you please detail what exactly it calls for, this fourth pillar, this 180-day playbook? Please detail what it calls for.
Again, I'd reiterate what I just said, that I think you summarized it quite well. It includes a plan of action on day one so
But
that
you didn't say
Republicans...
anything, and that's the problem. What is the plan of action?
It's to institute a more conservative vision on things that the American people want because they're experiencing all of these hardships caused by the chaos and corruption of the Biden-Harris administration.
Reclaiming my time.
There's a reason that the GOP are so keen to pretend that they have no idea what Project 2025 is. They're clearly just trying to dodge any accountability for its contents by distancing themselves and the party from the manifesto. And it's telling that they're platforming the authors of Project 2025 as witnesses in House Oversight Committee hearings, as it's becoming increasingly obvious that these hearings are being used as partisan rallies for Donald Trump's campaign. That's their ultimate point. They want to have their white supremacist policies enacted without the danger of being called out as white supremacists. It's a perfect scheme. It's as manipulative and devious as everything we've come to expect from the Republican Party, but now their hate is simply too vitriolic to hide. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?